Well, this is going to be a close one. Rain is in the forecast. I've probably got an hour and a half, if it's on time. I'm heading to a site, going to tickle a cellar hole. Hopefully we find some stuff. Man, am I flying today. This has got to be the craziest summer of weather we have ever had. Wow. I'm just gonna hit one of the cellar holes that I had found a few weeks ago but had only tickled for a couple minutes. And I'm just trying to navigate through the land here to try to get there quickly. This isn't the one I got stuck in the rain, by the way. That will definitely wait till fall. Alright, well, my first target was under a rock. I could not move, which is huge. So this is going to be the real culture signal. Sounds alright. I was under that rock. And it's between two more rocks. Nice. Button. With shank. Very good. That's kind of a different face. Nice. But of course, you cannot have a dig in New Hampshire without an oxen shoe. It's a little itty bitty baby too. One more for the plethora. Let's hope that's not a spent round and it's something more of the pewter variety. Oh, it is a button. Very good. And you know, as far as we can tell with a location like this, it's probably later 1700s. Don't know how long they were here. We don't think very long. So every little find that we get is just great. 49 to 54. Very loud. Be interesting if it's cross-century contamination, because I haven't seen any out here. Oh, it's just sheet metal. Yeah, that's all. That's why it was so loud. Again, loud. There's a nail, of course. That's another nail. Oh! Big dandy button. Man, thing feels mangled. Let's give it a clean up and see what it looks like. Doesn't surprise me, and I don't need to tell you guys that this has been logged. Pretty much everything's been logged several times. Because if we were in a site that hadn't been logged since the big mid-1800s abandonment, these trees would be huge. Oh, that's cool. Actually, it doesn't look like it was mangled from, you know, like if it got crushed by a piece of equipment. It actually looks dimpled. Either way, that is killer. Nice. Well, man, I found a little sweet spot just a few feet over. Peeking out at about 59. Ah, I know what that is. That is the very bottom part of a spoon bowl. Very nice, and it's pewter, but we're expecting that for this site being this old. Nice. Well, I can feel the rain coming in, so that's it. Got a few relics. Totally happy. Again, it's not about how good the day is with finding things, but it's those little itty bits and pieces that add up to the entirety. So before we go, I want to show you a clip. Yesterday, I went on a hike. I'm back at what I was referring to as the 2 walls over site. Well, today, I'm going to leave that home site and cellar hole, and I'm going to walk clean across this forest to the other side and see what's in between. Well, I almost missed this one. Look at this. Concrete. Probably dumped here when they logged, construction, whatever. But that's a wall going through there, and it's very, very small. Oh wow, I see something interesting down there. Alright, so as I come down to the tree line, we have the corner of a square, and it's interesting, it goes off at a 45 from the north to south road. And this is what I saw from a distance that looks interesting, because that means we are close to something. Interesting. This is a weird spot for a well. See where I dumped my detector? Up. So basically we're down the hill here, and we're off the back side of a wall. And that's just not common. Somebody had some fencing in here, so they were using this property fairly late. And it's not very nice in there. Actually, the bottom of the hill location next to the pasture makes me think, is it a well or is it a cistern? Yep, about 8 feet deep. It's a cistern. You know, I have a bad feel on the access road I just came out to. This may have been a home site. It's all been plowed and covered. So I decided to bushwhack back to cut across the trail I came in on. Look at the size of this wall out here. Interesting. Kind of perplexed by this whole area. It's just massive and the walls are vast. And while I was out there, I was coming across this, you know, it wasn't a road, it wasn't from ATVs, but it was definitely a well-defined cut line going through the forest. So I'm walking this, right? I came from that direction, from what I said was a house that was probably occupied late. Look at this. Utility pole. And an electrical pole. Look at that. That's where the insulators would go on top of that. Wow. This is actually the first one of these I've ever found out in the woods. Yeah, there's another one. You know, now the more I look at these utility poles and think about it, if I recall, I remember on an old topo map of a strange thing that stood out that said telephone, and it literally cut right across town. No following roads or anything. So, my first thoughts on those utility poles and toppers was 1, either telephone, 2, possibly even telegraph. Well, going back over the topographic maps from the 1940s and 50s, it shows up as telephone. Now here's the interesting thing. When you follow it from one end to the other, it comes out of the train depot in town, cuts straight across the landscape, bypassing the Waverly train lines, and then reconnects down the bottom. And here's what I got out of our town history. The two public utilities that we know best arrived in town in the early part of the century, the telephone in 1905 and electricity in 1916. It's not that line because the first one went to a hotel in the center. It is old, but not that old. And just another interesting factoid. The first exchange in New Hampshire opened in 1878 in Manchester with 370 subscribers. Wow, I didn't even know that. So that's pretty cool. It may be more modern day history compared to what we're used to doing, but it's still our town history. So coming up, some point in the near future, maybe in the next few episodes, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to walk that thing. I've never done it. I've always wondered where that line was. So that should make for a pretty cool explorative video. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Till next time, enjoy every Not Thursday.